Play during any combat. If the monster is defeated, draw 1 extra treasure. Next up we have +4 bonus, Rexy. When you get him, you can choose to count Rexy as either a hireling or a steed. But if he is a hireling, you cannot sell him. It's a big item. We have the Lizard Guy race card. Cold-blooded. Usable only once. Items that you play to help the monsters count double. Drop your tail. You get +1 to run away from level 10 to 15 monsters, and +2 to run away from level 16 and higher monsters. Lizard Guy. Next up we have Cave In. It's a portal card. The walls are tumbling down. The player of your choice loses a level. Discard the dungeon card of your choice and draw a new one to replace it. With a brain the size of a walnut, -5 to monster. Play during any combat. If the monster is defeated, draw 1 fewer treasures. Minimum of 1. Next up we have a Wandering Monster. Play this card with a monster from your hand when someone, including you, is in combat. Your monster joins the one already fighting. Add their combat strengths. If the character must flee, resolve the runaway attempts separately, in the order the victim chooses. Help me out here. Play this card while you are in combat. Take 1 item from any other player. At the moment you take it, the item must make the difference between your winning and losing that combat. You may discard something of your own before taking the item if you wish. Rip Snortle Portal. Rip Snortle Portal. Discard all dungeons in play and draw a new one to replace them. When you enter the new dungeon, everyone may discard as many items in play as they wish, going up 1 level for each. These cannot be the winning levels. Next up we have an Elf race card. Elf. +1 to run away. You go up a level for every monster you help someone else kill. We've got a Cleric class card. Resurrection. When it's time for you to draw cards face up, you may instead take some or all of the top of the appropriate discard pile. You must then discard 1 card from your hand for each card drawn. Turning. You may discard up to 3 cards in combat against an undead creature. Each discard gives you a +3 bonus. Next up we have another Cleric class card. 2 clerics in a row. Okay, let's see. Next up we have a level 20 dragon card, Smog. Halflings can draw and use, if possible, the card on the top card in the treasure deck as soon as Smog appears. Bad stuff. You stop breathing in self-defense. You are dead. If you defeat the level 20 Smog, you can gain 2 levels and 5 treasures. Another Wandering Monster card that you can play during any combat and add another monster. Munchkin of Forest. +5 to monster. Play during any combat. If the monster is defeated, items equal to the lowest level at the table. You can gain 1 treasure from defeating the Blushosaurus. We've got a cheat card. Cheat. Play this card with an item card you have in play, or when you play an item card from your hand. This item is legal for you to use it if otherwise it would not be. Discard this card when you lose, sell, etc. the attached item. Next up we have a halfling card. You may sell 1 item each your turn. Price for double price. Other items are at normal price. If you fail your initial runaway roll, you may discard a card and try once more. Level 6 lawyers will not attack a thief. Professional courtesy. A thief encountering a lawyer may instead discard 2 treasures and draw 2 new ones face down. Bad stuff. He hits you with an injunction. Let each other player draw 1 card from your hand, starting with the player to your left. Discard any remainder. You can gain 2 treasures from defeating the lawyers. Curse. Tree too short. Lose a level. Level 1 baby dinos. If you choose not to fight them, you may go through the discards, take the biggest monster you find, and put it in your hand. Bad stuff. Mommy comes home, you are dead. Gain 1 treasure from beating the baby dinos. We've got the Portal of Cavordle. Everyone goes up a level, though this cannot be the winning level. Dance, be happy. Now discard all the dungeons in play and draw a new one. A level 16 undead King Tut will not pursue anyone level 3 or below. Higher level characters lose 2 levels even if they escape. Bad stuff. Lose all your items and all your cards in your hand. You can gain 2 levels and 4 treasures from defeating the level 16 undead King Tut. Next up we have the nice card. Play at any time. You're nice. This card becomes part of your character. You may discard it at any time, otherwise it is never lost. When you kick open a door and find a monster of level 3 or below, you may discard it and loot the room. In any other combat, draw an extra treasure if you win. Next up we have the Sport Portal. Discard all dungeons in play. Deal a face-up dungeon to every player. Each player rolls a die. The winner's dungeon goes into play. The others are discarded. If it is a tie for the highest roll, all those dungeons are played. Sorry, y'all. Next up we have a half-breed. You may have 2 race cards and have all of the advantages and disadvantages of each. Or you may have 1 race card and have all of its advantages and none of its disadvantages. dungeon cannot help players in the other or give away trade items. You may still curse, send wandering monsters, and so on. That is a portal card. Next up, we have another elf card. +1 to run away, and you go up a level if you help someone defeat a monster. Next up, we have a level 3, a mouse who is stirring. This is a Santa card. -3 against mice. Bad stuff. Indigestion. Lose a level. You can gain 1 treasure from defeating a mouse who is stirring. Next up, we have a Super Munchkin card. You may have 2 class cards and have all of the advantages and disadvantages of each. Or you may have 1 class card and all of the advantages and none of the disadvantages. Lose this card if you lose your class. Got another half-breed card. You can have 2 race cards. Cheat. Another G card. Play this card with an item you have in play or when you play an item card from your hand. This item is legal to use even if it otherwise would not be. A level 14 unspeakably awful, indescribable horror. +4 against warriors. The bad stuff is unspeakably awful death for anyone but a wizard. A wizard merely loses his powers. Discard the wizard card. Gain 4 treasures from defeating the unspeakably awful, indescribable horror. Next up, we have another sport portal. Discard all dungeons in play till a face a dungeon. To every player, each player rolls a die. The winner's dungeon goes into play. That's right. Next up, we have a level 17 undead Necrosaurus. It's a fire flame attacks to double against it. Bad stuff. Lose all items with bone in the name. If you have none, lose a level. You can gain 2 levels and 4 treasures from defeating the Necrosaurus. Next up, we have another short portal. Discard all dungeons in play and draw a new one to replace them. Place this portal with the dungeon card as a reminder. Only dwarves, halflings, and gnomes may wear headgear in this new dungeon. All others may keep their headgear, but must just carry it until they exit this dungeon. The gods reward lameness. Discard all dungeon cards in play. The lowest level player draws the top 3 dungeon cards and picks one. If the players are tied for lowest, each one draws 3 and picks one. After the new dungeons are chosen, reshuffle all remaining dungeon cards, including any already discarded. The gods reward lameness. Wow, that is like 2 in a freaking row. Gotta shuffle these cards. Next, we have a level 4 undead Alphosaurus. Don't be cruel. You must invite every player to help you until someone helps or they all refuse. same dungeon and go up level. Next up we have a curse card. Lose the headgear you're wearing. Next up we have a level 12 Santa Dragon Claws. +5 against everyone between December 1st and March 1st. Happy Chinese New Year. Bad stuff. He roasts you on an open fire. You are dead. Gain 3 treasures from defeating the Dragon Claws. Next up we have the Divine Intervention card. You must play this card as soon as you get it. All clerics immediately go up a level. This can be the winning level. If this card makes you win, you are entitled to mock other players mercilessly. Next up we have a level 18 Dinosaur. It doesn't know which end is up. You get +2 to run away. The bad stuff is it sits on you twice. Lose 2 levels to Tiny Heiny. Or you can gain 2 levels and 5 treasures from defeating the Tiny Heiny. Next up we have a level 2 Undead Mr. Bones. If you must flee, you lose a level even if you escape. Bad stuff. His bony touch costs you 2 levels. Gain 1 treasure from defeating Mr. Bones. Next up we have a level 6 Krampus. It's a Santa card. +4 against nice Munchkins. Bad stuff. Ick. Hairball. Lose your footgear. Gain 2 treasures from defeating the Krampus. Next up we have an Orc race card. An Orc who is hit with a curse can always choose to ignore the curse and lose a level instead, unless he's already at level 1. When an Orc fighting alone defeats a monster by more than 10, he goes up an extra level. Next up we have a level 12 Velociraptor. Velociraptor. I got the teeth and I ain't lying. Run away or you'll be dying. Bad stuff. Like I said, now I'm fed. You're so dead. Gain 3 treasures from defeating the Velociraptor. Next up we have a level 1 Drooling Slime. Yucky slime, +4 against elves. Bad stuff. Discard the figure you're wearing. Lose a level if you have no footgear. Gain 1 treasure from defeating the Drooling Slime. Next up we have a Warrior class card. Berserking, you may discard up to 3 cards in combat. Each one gives you a +1 bonus. You also win ties in combat. We have a Secret Door. Draw a new dungeon card and put it into play. Its effects add to those of the dungeon you are now in. Got a Secret Door. Draw a new dungeon card and put it into play. Its effects. That's another Secret Door. Wow, what the crap. Holiday Cheat. Play while you're in combat to make a single item you have in play legal for you to use for the duration of this combat, even if it otherwise would not be. Discard this after the combat. Exception: if it is between December 24th and January 2nd, inclusive, you may use this as a regular cheat card. We've got a Curse Malign Mirror. You are cursed in your next fight, only you may not get any bonuses from items other than armor. A wishing ring used before the next fight will lift the curse. Got a Hireling Lance. Lance gives you +10 when fighting dragons, otherwise he's pretty useless, but if you can ditch him to run away automatically. level 2 pit bull. If you can't defeat it, you may distract it, automatic escape, by dropping any wand, pole, or staff. Fetch, Fido. Bad stuff. Fang marks in your butt. Lose 2 levels. Can gain 1 treasure from defeating the pit bull. Next up we have the Ancient. +10 to monster. Play during combat. If the monster is defeated, draw 2 extra treasures. A level 10 net troll. He has no special powers and he's really mad about it. Bad stuff. Screws up the game balance by forcing you to let the players of the highest level take any 1 item from you. Each. Gain 3 treasures from defeating the net troll. Next up we have a curse, a sore loser. Lose level. Next up we have a level 8 wino dino. +3 if your level is 5 or less. He's just mean. Bad stuff. Lose your foot gear. Gain 2 treasures from defeating the wino dino. Next up we have a level 10 anachronistic mammal. He does not belong here. Any hand item or 1 shot from this set counts double against the anachronistic mammal. The bad stuff, none. He's not really here. Gain 3 treasures from beating the anachronistic mammal. Next up, cleared the dungeon. You have slaughtered everything larger than a bug in this dungeon, and most of the bugs too. Everyone goes up a level. Choose a dungeon to discard. If it was the only one in play, draw a new dungeon. Next up we have the level 2 dragon card, Flatworm. Ow, paper cut. You can't use hand items in this fight. Bad stuff. You're caught flat-footed. Lose your foot gear. Or gain 1 treasure from defeating the Flatworm. Next up we have a level 20 plutonium dragon. Will not pursue anyone of level 5 or below. The bad stuff. You are roasted and eaten. You are dead. You can gain 2 levels and 5 treasures from defeating the plutonium dragon. Next up, we have another thief class card. It says backstabbing. You may discard a card to backstab another player. -2 in combat. You may do this only once per victim per combat, but if 2 players are fighting a monster together, you may backstab each of them. Theft. You may discard a card to try to steal a small item carried by another player. Roll a die. 4 or more succeeds. Otherwise, you get whacked and lose a level. Got a level 1 grabs. Level 1 grabs. Cannot be outrun. Bad stuff. Discard armor and all items worn below the waist. Gain 1 treasure from defeating crabs. So we have walking in circles. Choose any previously discarded dungeon card to put in play. If none have been discarded, draw a new dungeon card instead. Its effects add to those of dungeons you are now in. Y'all, sorry, my dog is snoring. Got another cleric card, class card. Curse, Duck of Doom. You should know better than to pick up a duck in a dungeon. Lose 2 levels. Mortal Portal. Discard all dungeons in play and draw a new one to replace them. Place this portal with the dungeon card as a reminder. All undead suffer a -5 penalty in this dungeon and give an extra treasure if defeated. Level 8 Chorus. Level 11 Chorosaurus. Will not pursue half-breeds. The bad stuff. Discard 1 card from each head. For each head. gets 3. Defeat the Chorosaurus and gain 3 treasures. A level 12 Tongue Demon. A creature from hell, +4 against clerics. You must discard 1 item, your choice, before combat. Bad stuff. A really disgusting kiss costs you 2 levels, 3 for elves. You can gain 3 treasures from defeating the Tongue Demon. So we have another curse card. Lose the footgear you're wearing. So we have another elf race card. Level 8 Ghoul Fiends. No items help against them. Fight with your level only. The bad stuff, your level becomes equal to the lowest level of any character in play. Gain 2 treasures from defeating the Ghoul Fiends. Curse Chicken on your head. -1 to all your die rolls. Any curse or bad stuff that removes your headgear will take the chicken with it. So we have another thief class card. We have a level 1 mole rat. A creature from hell, +3 against clerics. Bad stuff. She whacks you, lose a level. Gain 1 treasure from defeating the mole rat. Level 2 flying frogs. -1 to run away. Bad stuff, they bite, lose 2 levels. Can gain 1 treasure from defeating the flying frogs. Next up we have a curse. Surrounded, lose a level. Curse, lose a small item. Choose 1 small item to discard. Any item that is not designated as big is small. Intelligent, +5 to monster. Play during combat. If the monster is defeated, draw 1 extra treasure. A level 6 Pikachu. Gain an extra level if you defeat it without using help or bonuses. Bad stuff. Projectile vomiting attack. Discard your whole hand. Gain 2 treasures from defeating the Pikachu. Next up we have another mortal portal. It's discard the dungeon and replace it with a new dungeon. All undead suffer a -5 penalty in this dungeon and give an extra treasure if defeated. Next up we have a curse. Lose a level. Next up we have a level 6 Shrieking Geek. +6 against warriors. Bad stuff, you become a normal, boring human. Discard any race or class cards in play. You can gain 2 treasures from defeating the Shrieking Geek. Next up we have Curse Tar Pit. Lose your footgear. Got another curse. Lose a level. We've got the Super Munchkin card. You may have 2 class cards and have all of the advantages and disadvantages of each, or you may have 1 class card and have all of its advantages and none of its disadvantages. For example, monsters that hate clerics will have no bonus against a super cleric. Lose this card if you lose all your class cards. Curse little tiny arms. Lose a class. Lose an item. Sorry, gosh. Level 16 Hippogriff. Will not pursue anyone of level 3 or below. Bad stuff. You are stomped and chomped. You drop things as you flee. Starting with the player on your right, each player may take one treasure card from in front of you, or without looking from your hand. Can gain 2 levels and 4 treasures from defeating the hippogriff. Get a level 4 inflatable dino. +3 against anyone with a class. The bad stuff is lets your air out. Discard the item that gives you the biggest bonus. Gain 2 treasures from defeating the inflatable dino. Next up we have a level 16 undead white brothers. Will not pursue anyone of level 3 or below. Higher level characters lose 2 levels even if they escape. Bad stuff, you are reduced to level 1. You can gain 2 levels and 4 treasures from defeating the White Brothers. And that's an undead card. With horns, +10 to monster. Play during any combat. If the monster is defeated, draw 2 extra treasures. A level 19 Rhinosaur will not pursue anyone of level 2 or below. The bad stuff, it charges. Drop 1 item, a big one if you have one. Gain 2 levels and 5 treasures from defeating the Rhinosaur. Curse, lose a small item. Any item that is not designated big is small. A level 10 dragon ass. Fire flame items do not work against it. Bad stuff, lose 2 levels. Gain 3 treasures from defeating the dragon ass. We've got a +2 Bronto steed. It is a big item. Mate. Another monster appears at the same level and with all the same monster enhancers. If the monsters are defeated, draw treasure for each and go up levels for each. Level 1 Spiny Tiny. If you are a super munchkin or a half-breed, no one can help you in this combat. Bad stuff, it gets inside your armor. Lose your armor. If you have no armor, lose a level. Gain 1 treasure from defeating the Spiny Tiny. Level 16 Dragula. It's an undead dragon. Clerics cannot use their turn undead power in this combat. Bad stuff. He wants to suck your blood, and he always gets what he wants. You are dead. Defeat Dragula, go up 2 levels and gain 4 treasures. Next up we have a dwarf race card. A dwarf race card. You can carry any number of big items. You have 6 cards in your hand. You can have 6 cards in your hand, so you also get to hold an extra card. Level 6 Bladicore. Resists magic. +3 against wizards. Bad stuff. Either discard your whole hand or lose 2 levels. You can gain 2 treasures from defeating the Bladicore. We have a level 3 undead Dorsal Fossil. Immune to fire flame attacks. Bad stuff. Not much. Discard 1 card. Gain 1 treasure from defeating the Dorsal Fossil. Next up we have a level 4 Leprechaun. +5 against elves. stuff. It can sniff you out anywhere. If you lose, you cannot flee. Nothing will help you. Lose 3 levels. Gain 3 treasures from defeating the floating nose. Next up we have the Portal of Riotous Reunion. If more than one dungeon is in play, the player who played this card chooses one to retain. All others are discarded. If only one dungeon is in play, the player who played this card may either discard and replace it or keep the party in the same dungeon and go up a level. All roads lead to Rome. Discard all dungeons in play and draw a new one to replace them. A level 6 Santa Paws. +4 against naughty Munchkins. Bad stuff, lose a level. Gain 2 treasures from defeating Santa Paws. Level 14 Insurance Salesman. Your level does not count. Fight him only with your bonuses. Bad stuff. You buy insurance, lose 1,000 gold pieces worth of items. If you don't have that much, lose all you have. Gain 4 treasures from defeating the insurance salesman. A level 5 Dragon Razor. Dragon Razor cannot be outrun no matter what cards or abilities you have to say otherwise. If you don't defeat him, the bad stuff happens automatically. The bad stuff. Discard the item giving you the biggest bonus. You can gain 2 treasures from defeating Dragon Razor. All roads lead to Rome. We just had that one. A level 6 Ankylosaurus. It gets +1 for every class in play on the table. Bad stuff. Lose a level unless you have foot gear to insulate you. Gain 2 levels from defeating the Ankylosaurus. Level 18 Bullfrog will not pursue anyone of level 4 or below. Bad stuff. You are flayed to death. You can gain 2 levels and 5 treasures from defeating the Bullfrog. Bullrog, my bad. Okay, Mirror Portal. Do not draw a new dungeon. Reverse all combat and runaway bonuses and penalties given by a monster or dungeon cards. Bonuses given by items, classes, and races are unaffected. Leave this on the table as a reminder until another portal is played. Next up we have a level 15 Undead Hostile Fossil. +5 if you are highest level or tied for the highest. The bad stuff is lose your class. Gain 2 levels and 4 treasures from defeating the Hostile Fossil. Level 12 Drummer Strumming. +4 against dogs who hate the noise. You are snared. Okay, the bad stuff is you are snared. The next time you must try to run away, you automatically fail. Gain 3 treasures for defeating the Drummer Strumming. Except we have another warrior class card. We've got a wizard class card. The flight spell, you may discard up to 3 cards after rolling the die to run away. Each one gives you a +1 bonus to flee. Charm spell, you may discard your whole hand, a minimum of 3 cards, to charm a single monster instead of fighting it. Discard the monster and take its treasure, but don't gain levels. If there are other monsters in the combat, fight them normally. Another thief class card. Got a +2 bonus. Tarot Steed. A level 14 Roarosaurus. Your armor counts against you, not for you in this combat. If it has special powers, they don't work. The bad stuff. Deafened, lose your headgear. Gain 4 Tyrannosaurus. Cursed income tax. Discard one item of your choice. Every other player must now discard an item or items totaling at least as much value as the item you discarded. If they don't have enough to pay the full tax, they must discard all of their items and lose a level. Next up, we have a level 4 Harpies. They resist magic, +5 against wizards. The bad stuff, their music is really, really bad. Lose 2 levels. Or gain 2 treasures from defeating the Harpies. We have a Thief class card. A level 4, Snails on speed. -2 to run away. The bad stuff is they steal your treasure. You roll a die and lose that many items or cards in your hand, your choice. Get 2 treasures from defeating the Snails on speed. Next up we have Cave In. The walls are tumbling down. The players of your choice lose a level. Discard the dungeon card of your choice and draw a new one to replace it. A short portal. Discard all dungeons in play and draw a new one to replace them. Place this portal with the dungeon card as a reminder. Only dwarves, halflings, and gnomes may wear headgear in this new dungeon. All others may keep their headgear but must just carry it until they exit this dungeon. A level 12 wannabe vampire. Instead of fighting, a cleric can chase the wannabe vampire away just by going booga booga and take all of its treasure. There is no level increase for this. The bad stuff is he blocks the door and tells you about his character. Lose 3 levels. Or gain 3 treasures from defeating the wannabe vampire. Cleared the dungeon. You have slaughtered everything larger than a bug in this dungeon, and most of the bugs too. Everyone goes up a level. Choose a dungeon to discard. If it was the only dungeon in play, draw a new dungeon. So we have a dwarf card. Dwarf race card. Level 8 gazebo. No one can help you. You must face the gazebo alone. The bad stuff is lose 3 levels. Gain 2 treasures from defeating the gazebo. Humongous. +10 to monster. Play during combat. If the monster is defeated, draw 2 extra treasures. Level 1 dragonfly. If the dragonfly is not defeated, stick it back into the door deck. Those things get everywhere. The bad stuff is how it burns. Lose a level. Gain 1 treasure from defeating the dragonfly. A level 8 face sucker. It's gross. +6 against elves. The bad stuff is when it sucks your face off, your headgear goes with it. Discard the headgear you are wearing and lose a level. Gain 2 treasures from defeating the facesucker. Got another wandering monster card. You can play this while anyone is in combat and add another monster from your hand. Got +1 bonus, very junior paleontologist hireling. Add an extra +1 if you fight a monster with dino or soar in the name. A level 5 undead Eratosaurus. Immune to fire flame attacks. The bad stuff is mistakes happen. Accidentally give 1 card to each player whose level is lower than yours. Gain 2 cards from defeating the Eratosaurus. Next up we have a Bard class card. Enthrall. In combat on your turn, you may discard a card and select a rival. Each of you rolls a die. If your roll beats his, he must help you and cannot ask for a reward. If you fail, you may discard again and try to enthrall another rival, continuing until you succeed, give up, or run out of cards or opponents. You may not win the game with this power. The Bardic Luck. When you win a combat on your turn, draw one treasure, look at them all, and draw one extra treasure, look at them all, and immediately discard one from your choice. Get another halfling card. Got another wizard class card. Another Rip Snortle portal. Discard all dungeons in play and draw a new one to replace them. When you enter this new dungeon, everyone may discard as many items in play as they wish, going up one level for each. These cannot be winning levels. Level 12, Bigfoot. +3 against dwarves and halflings. The bad stuff is stomps you flat and eats your head. Lose the headgear you were wearing. Gain 3 treasures from defeating the Bigfoot. We've got a Centaur race card. 2 left feet. You may use 2 footgear. Leader of the herd. You may have any number of steeds in play. Illusion. Play this card during any combat. Discard any one monster in this combat, along with any cards that have been played to modify it, and replace it with a monster card from your hand. With tail spikes, +10 to monster. Play during any combat. If the monster is defeated, to draw 2 extra treasures. A level 5 Tinosaurus Rex. Your footgear counts double in this combat. Bad stuff. Lose your footgear. If you have no footgear, lose a level. Or gain 2 treasures from defeating the Tinosaurus Rex. Got another halfling card. Halfling race card. Another dwarf race card. Another half-breed race card. Half-breed. You may have 2 race cards in it. Yeah, we already read them. A +3 spiky steed. A level 16 Pteranodon. An extra +5 against super munchkins. The bad stuff is you sleep with the prehistoric fishes. You are dead. Defeat Pteranodon. Go up 2 levels and gain 4 treasures. Another wizard class card. Got a warrior class card. A level 18 Squidzilla. Slimy. Elves are at -4. Will not pursue anyone of level 4 and below except elves. Bad stuff. You are grabbed, slimed, crushed, and gobbled. You are dead, dead, dead. Any questions? Gain 2 levels and 4 treasures from defeating Squidzilla. So we have a level 13 Herbivore. Lose your headgear before the combat. The bad stuff. Lose your armor too. Gain 3 treasures from defeating the Herbivore. Got another wandering monster card. A level 2 early bird. +6 if there is a bird in the house. If you're in Facing the monster discards them all and draws 2 treasure cards immediately. Super Munchkin. You can have 2 class cards. A level 12 Can of Worms. Monster enhancers played on the Can of Worms have doubled the combat bonus or penalty. The bad stuff is canned, lose 2 levels and your reserved parking space. Can gain 3 levels from defeating the Can of Worms. And that's a dragon card. Curse, lose 2 cards. First, the player to the victim's left draws a card from the victim's hand and keeps it. Then the player on the right does the same. Level 1 Magic Dragon. The Magic Dragon just wants to be your friend. If you decide not to fight him, he gives you a face-up treasure, waves his wand, and disappears. The bad stuff is one of your levels vanishes in a puff of smoke.